Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
Wow. It's been a fairly, just traumatic, almost traumatic. I found it traumatic listening to the news for the last week and a half, almost 2 weeks. The constant bombardment of what I thought a topic that was done and dusted here in Australia, the voice referendum. I was firmly on the side of the no camp. Okay, I put forward my argument. This is what I believe. This is how I saw it. Voting no. That was it. Person, Indigenous heritage, Jay Fallon. Apparently, according to the Yes people, who were very, very overwhelmingly defeated, the no campaign got up. The Yes campaign, the Yes side, the Yes argument, overwhelmingly defeated. Apparently, if you voted no, you're racist. You don't love Indigenous people. You don't stand by. You don't recognize the Indigenous people of this land. So apparently Indigenous people that voted no, and I happen to know one or two of them, they're racist virtually. That's what, and all week, just the propaganda coming out over the news. And, we had a week of silence, apparently, where people could, apparently the Indigenous community they were going to be silent we were all going to be silent because we were all unanimous on this vote, but no, we weren't. We're going to be silent because of the huge dishonor, or, just so emotionally hurt by this. I found it draining, very draining. An open letter basically accusing people of just being racist because you voted no, because you were able to think for yourself, because you were able to read through the facts and say, this is not good for the broader Australian public, for Australians as a whole. This is not good. And it's not going to help the Indigenous people that actually need the help. This was just going to be another thing that helped the usual suspects that are just lining their pockets with government money. That's all it was going to be, with government handouts. That's all it was going to do. The inner city, in air quotes, Indigenous people, the ones that, only just discovered they were Indigenous last week, that's the group that it was going to help. I'm going to play this video for you before we go any further on. I think really says something. Well, I won't say any more. This have a listen. This just really says something about the Yes campaign and who the voice referendum, who it was actually going to help.
An image that will never leave my mind is the one that was on the front page of the paper of an Aboriginal woman outside Alice Springs who had moved there so she could have dialysis treatment. She was living with 6 children on a slab of concrete. Now, where were the elders? Where were the members of the Land Council who have millions of dollars in the bank? Where were they to help this Aboriginal woman? She was absolutely bereft, and nobody from her own linkages with land councils, with the money provided, none of it was used to come to her aid. There's nothing disadvantaged, Stephen, about Linda Burney. There's nothing disadvantaged about Marcia Langton or Regan Davis. There's nothing disadvantaged about Nell Pearson, but there is a hell of a lot wrong with a woman who's living on a slab of concrete with 6 children to get dialysis for her health care. Now, they're the people who need helping. It's not all Aboriginal people at all, or all people of Aboriginal heritage. We have people who have no Aboriginal heritage, who are equally disadvantaged, who are living in cars, mothers with children living in cars with nowhere to live and no money for food. We have to provide where there's a need. And this whole referendum, this whole treaty question, it is just breaking up the Australian nation and teaching children to be afraid and honestly losing faith in their own country. There is no pride being taught in our own country. We have built a fantastic country. It doesn't matter where we came from. We all came from somewhere else. Some came 60,000 years ago, some came 6 years ago. But we have built a magnificent multicultural society where we aspire for the best for our people. Now, the fact that we have a large group of people who are living very much so in the Northern Territory and in North Queensland and North Western Australia who need that attention, this outcome is not going to come from The Voice.
Exactly. This outcome, the outcome was not going to come from The Voice. Like they said, these politicians, these inner suburban, like I said, in quotes, Aboriginal people, I shouldn't say that about some of them, but these Indigenous people, these leaders, they're not the ones that are disadvantaged. The ones that are standing up predominantly crying out for the yes vote and calling everyone else racist, they are not the disadvantaged. And all the money that gets splashed around, it doesn't help the ones that actually need the help, the ones that actually are disadvantaged. It always goes back to the ones that aren't disadvantaged, the ones like who I spoke about, the Marcus Stewarts of the world, you know, who barely needs it. He doesn't need anything. He's not disadvantaged. He's like 1/16th Aboriginal. And yet all he focuses on is he's Aboriginal, he's Indigenous. Forgets the fact that he's extremely, extremely well educated, used his Aboriginality to help fund his education. You don't see him. Is he out in the community helping raise funds for the people that actually need it? This is the problem. The Voice was only going to help those who already didn't need the help. And this rhetoric, mate, I mean, the Queensland government offering, this is the state that I live in. It's an embarrassment. I wonder sometimes why is Palaszczuk still in government? The Queensland government offering paid leave for Indigenous employees who are feeling saddened. We'll check it out together, right? Here we go. Like I said, it's this is embarrassing. This is the state I live in, Queensland. Australian public servants offered paid leave to mourn The Voice result. Queensland government, public service servants in one Aussie state, it's Victoria, it's Queensland, has been offered 5 days special paid leave for psychological distress stemming from the rejected Voice to Parliament referendum. In an email circulated to Queensland government bosses, Public Sector Commissioner David Mackey said special leave, an entitlement that is usually unpaid, as well as sick leave, could be offered to staff in need. The move was made to ensure the government workplace remained mentally well and to acknowledge the emotional impact the referendum result would have on First Nations workers in the public service following the failed referendum result. You know, sometimes I wonder, do I just come across as a whinging little, you know, just a whiner? But I'd like to point out, I am Indigenous, okay? Have Indigenous heritage. That made no difference when I said no to the jab. Then it was like, boof, you're gone. 2 weeks paid leave, and you're out. A year of no pay, sitting around. A year of not allowed to go, not allowed to do your job, and we're not going to pay you. But hey, you don't get your way in a vote, and we're gonna. How about this? Just give you a little pay, have a little 5 days off to mourn. Just frustrating. You know what? I thought, I'm going to have a month off. I can't sit here. And just the news this week was so frustrating. Like you said, the propaganda coming across. Whether we like it or not, whether you like it or not, the Voice referendum, the Voice vote The yes campaign lost. The no won. We need to move on. We need to move on. There are bigger issues going on all around the world, and this is not one of them. And the people that really need the help, they were not going to benefit from the voice anyway. That's my opinion. Sick and tired of hearing about it, to be honest. Let me know what you think. Queensland, paid leave for mourning. Ridiculous. It's my opinion. Thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope.
They just fuel a desire that will take me higher. I'm on fire because nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna stop me now. No more deals to be done. No more selling out my soul just to focus on the goal. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Nothing's gonna hold me down. Got my eye on the prize, gonna sail on the clouds and tears.